won't believe what this HOA president just did." Emma Carter had been through hell. As a former combat nurse, she had seen things no one should ever have to see. The screams, the blood, the friends she couldn't save. Even after leaving the battlefield, the war followed her home. PTSD wasn't just a diagnosis, it was her daily reality. But she had one saving grace, a gentle, golden-furred guardian named Sonny. Sonny wasn't just a dog, he was her anchor, her only sense of stability when the flashbacks came. With him, she could breathe, function, sleep without waking up drenched in sweat. Then came the letter, an official violation notice from the new HOA president, a woman named Karen Voss. Emma's hands shook as she read the words. "You are in violation of HOA Pet Policy Section 4A. A $300 fine has been issued. All non-compliant animals must be removed within 48 hours. Removed like trash." Her stomach twisted as she read Karen's additional note, scrawled in sharp, condescending handwriting. "Your dog is a disturbance. The neighborhood must remain orderly. This is non-negotiable." Emma's pulse pounded. She had medical paperwork proving Sonny was a certified emotional support animal. She wasn't breaking any laws. So she stormed down to the HOA office, letter clenched in her fist. Karen was waiting, a cold, satisfied smirk on her face. "You have 48 hours, Miss Carter," she said smoothly. "I suggest you use them wisely." Emma's jaw tightened. "You can't do this. I have legal protection. Sonny is an ESA. This is discrimination." Karen sighed, slowly folding her hands on the desk. "This is our community," she said, voice dripping with authority, "and our rules come first." Emma felt her blood boil. This wasn't about rules. This was about power, and Karen had just started a war. This wasn't about rules. It was personal. Emma refused to be bullied. She dug deeper into Karen Voss. Something about her felt off. And what she found? It was worse than she imagined. Karen wasn't just a power-hungry HOA president. She had a history. In another neighborhood years ago, Karen had been sued for discriminating against disabled residents. She had targeted a veteran with PTSD, just like Emma, and she lost. But that wasn't all. The person who had exposed Karen, the one who led the charge in that lawsuit, Emma's best friend. It all clicked. This wasn't about Sonny. This was revenge. Karen had waited years for the perfect opportunity to settle an old grudge. And now, she had Emma in her crosshairs, but the hypocrisy didn't stop there. While Karen demanded Sonny be removed, Emma noticed something strange. Her neighbors, Karen's friends, all had dogs, big ones, barking ones, some even twice the size of Sonny, and yet no fines, no warnings, no threats. Emma felt her stomach twist with rage. This wasn't about rules, it was about control. Karen thought she had won. She had no idea what was coming. Karen thought she had all the power. She had no idea the whole neighborhood was about to turn against her. Emma wasn't alone. Her neighbors had been watching, listening, and they were furious. First, there was Mr. Caldwell, a retired attorney who had lived in the community for over 20 years. The moment he heard about Karen's unlawful ESA ban, he knew something wasn't right. Then there was Sophie Daniels, a local journalist always on the lookout for a good scandal. And this was about to be her biggest story yet. Together, they started digging, and what they found? It was explosive. Karen hadn't just fined Emma unfairly. She had faked official HOA meeting minutes to push through her no pets policy without an actual vote. She had been lying to the entire neighborhood, but that wasn't even the worst part. Sophie went deeper. She checked Karen's financial records and found suspicious transactions. Karen had been taking money, bribes from a real estate developer. The plan: force long-term homeowners out of the community using bogus violations and fines. Once they were gone, sell the properties to developers for a massive profit, and Emma? She was just the first target. The truth spread like wildfire. The HOA members, once afraid of Karen, started turning against her. Emma had walked into a battle over her dog. Now she was leading a war to take Karen down. Karen was losing control, and she knew it. The neighborhood was turning against her. The truth about her corrupt HOA dealings was spreading fast. She was desperate, so she did the unthinkable. She called animal control. Her official complaint? Sunny was a dangerous and aggressive dog. Emma only found out when a white animal control van pulled up in front of her house. 2 uniformed officers stepped out, clipboard in hand. "Ma'am," one of them said, "we received a report about a dangerous animal on this property." Emma felt her stomach drop. "Dangerous," she repeated. "You mean Sunny?" The officer nodded, glancing down at his clipboard. "The HOA president filed a complaint. Said your dog has been acting aggressively toward residents." Emma laughed bitterly. "Sunny? Aggressive? He's a trained emotional support animal." And right on cue, Sunny trotted up to the officer's, tail wagging. The golden retriever sat politely, tilting his head like he was waiting for a treat. Not a single sign of aggression. The officers exchanged glances. Karen was watching from her porch, arms crossed, waiting for them to drag Sunny away. But the officers hesitated. They had dealt with truly dangerous dogs before. This wasn't one of them. Then one of Emma's neighbors, Sophie the journalist, stepped forward. "I'd be careful what you do next," she warned, holding up her phone, "because I've been recording since you pulled up." Several other neighbors held up their phones too. Karen's smug expression crumbled. The lead officer sighed, shaking his head. "This is clearly a false report." He turned to Emma. "We won't be taking your dog." The entire crowd burst into applause. Karen, completely humiliated. And worse, the video went viral. Within hours, it was all over social media. HOA president tries to take veteran support dog, backfires horribly. It got picked up by news outlets. Karen had wanted power. Instead, she got national shame. Karen thought she could control the HOA. She never expected the entire town to turn against her. The emergency HOA meeting was packed. Every seat was filled. People stood in the aisles, whispering. The tension in the air was thick. At the front of the room, Karen Voss sat rigidly, her face pale but defiant. The HOA board had been forced to hold this meeting after the public outrage from her failed attempt to remove Sunny. And now, she was about to face everything she had tried to hide. Cameras from local news stations were set up in the back. The whole town was watching. Emma was ready. She stepped forward, her voice strong, unwavering. "I was fined and threatened with eviction over my emotional support animal," she began, holding up Sunny's official ESA certification. Karen scoffed. "HOA rules prohibit pets. You violated policy." The room murmured. Then Mr. Caldwell, the retired lawyer, stood up. "That's interesting," he said, pulling out a stack of HOA meeting minutes, "because I've reviewed all past HOA records, and it turns out—" He paused, looking straight at Karen. "There was never an official vote on banning pets." The room erupted. Karen's face went ghost white. That's a lie," she stammered, but Sophie, the journalist, stepped forward next, holding up a flash drive. "Actually, I obtained an original recording from the last HOA meeting," she said. "And it proves that you falsified the meeting notes." Gasps, Karen's hands clenched into fists. "That's not true. This is a smear campaign." But Sophie wasn't finished. "I also have financial records proving that Karen has been accepting money from a real estate developer to fine and evict long-term residents so the land could be sold." Dead silence. Then a man in a suit stood up, a representative from the State Housing Authority. "We have enough evidence to investigate," he said. "Karen will be speaking soon." Karen's eyes darted around the room, desperate for support. But the neighbors she once controlled, They were done with her. A vote was held on the spot. Percent voted to remove Karen as HOA president. And just like that, she was finished. Her reign of terror collapsed in seconds. As she stormed out, reporters rushed after her, shoving microphones in her face. She had come for power. Now she was leaving in disgrace. Karen wanted power. Instead, she lost everything. The very next week, the neighborhood took back control. A new HOA board was formed, one that actually listened to its residents. No more fake rules, no more corruption, the very first order of business. They threw out Karen's ridiculous pet ban and created a pet-friendly zone in the community park. Sonny even got his own little plaque, HOA's first official good boy. But Karen, she couldn't show her face in the neighborhood anymore. People ignored her at the grocery store, crossed the street when she walked by. And the worst part? No one wanted to buy her house. Her reputation was toxic. After weeks of failing to sell, she was forced to lower the price just to escape. On moving day, she packed her things in silence, while the neighbors she once ruled over watched from their porches. No goodbyes, no sympathy, just cold, satisfying silence. Then, as she pulled out of the driveway for the last time, she saw something that made her seethe. In the center of the cul-de-sac, the entire neighborhood was gathered, laughing, celebrating. They had organized a community party, a way to celebrate the end of Karen's reign, and at the center of it all, Emma and Sonny neighbors clapped her on the back, thanking her for standing up to Karen. Kids played with Sonny, feeding him treats. Someone even gave him a tiny golden medal that read, "Neighborhood Hero." Karen gripped the steering wheel, so tightly her knuckles turned white. Emma, she just smiled because she had won, not just for herself, but for everyone. And Sonny, he just wagged his tail because he already knew they were finally home.